Hey everyone, Talking Dave over here, dorky talking black guy who's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of First Attack. Here, I share my thoughts on the pilot or first episode of a TV series. Keep in mind that the views that I'm expressing are not a reflection of the season or series as a whole. This is just my take on how well the pilot or first episode of said series was. And I'm doing something completely off the cuff, guys. I am not pulling a script or anything like this. I'm just going to flat out state my thoughts on, basically, the new TV show, The Last OG. Alright? So, pretty much The Last OG is on TBS starring Tracy Morgan, who portrays a ex-convict that was sent to jail after basically dealing drugs in the street of Brooklyn, back in 2002. Well, 15 years later, he is released from jail and he sees that his Brooklyn neighborhood has drastically changed and that the woman that he loves is pretty much not only moved on and forgotten about him, well, not forgotten about him, moved on, and doesn't really want anything to do with him, and basically this convict is now living in a halfway house trying to adjust to, modern life. So, here's the thing. This is an interesting show for me personally because I can identify with this greatly at multiple levels. As a kid, I was brought up in a residential treatment home, and I was away from my home for the place that I grew up in for 5 years. And within coming back, I understood that difficult time of adjustment with trying to be modernized. And then something happened in my mid-20s, where I initially had to come back and try to adjust while I left New York and was in the Midwest for a little bit. I had to come back and basically, try to start over from almost scratch pretty much. So, this is something that is up my alley and that I can identify with. Especially since, with changing times. Now, despite my age, being like, in my late 30s, I still do not consider myself a millennial, despite the year I was born. Because I remember basically hanging out with friends, actually physically going to their homes, playing outside in the street or going to the arcades and everything, and not being so dependent on technology. I know it seems hypocritical to me. Anyway, but I use technology as an assistant or an aid majority of the time. I know how to do a lot of things manually and tend to prefer to do things manually. In addition, I don't want to digress long enough. Let's focus on the show. So, I have an interesting view of Tracy Morgan, especially after this show, more so. I enjoy watching Tracy Morgan when he's in an ensemble cast and, when he's doing stand-up. However, when he's like a major lead, guy can't fully cut it. And this pilot episode reinforces that. First off, I keep forgetting his character's name, which is a bad sign, number one, and number two, the guy doesn't seem all that likable, and he seems like the typical annoying, wankster, or pusher and dealer or slinger, and there's not much to like. He's really annoying, and I shouldn't really say this because some of the things that he does and says is some of the things that I do, but, it's to the fifth degree, and it can come off really annoying, His dynamic with basically some of his brethren from the street, you see, is really not all that well, with the exception of this one cat, if I remember his name, is Bobby, played by Alan Maldonado, if I remembered his name correctly, since I did some very light research, and, their dynamic together is cool. In fact, I like Tracy Morgan's character with this guy pretty much a lot. Cedric the Entertainer is actually in this show, and his talent is wasted as the head person of the halfway house that Tracy Morgan's character stays in. And, he's supposed to be seen as someone that is not really funny and, someone that's a bit of a pain in the ass, as writing Tracy Morgan's character hard. Cedric the Entertainer is a better actor than I gave him credit for, because while you could tell he knows his jokes are bad in his delivery, he does try to play it up to make himself think that he's funny, So I gotta give Cedric some props for this. And Malik Yoba, of New York Undercover fame, is actually in this show. Well, actually in this episode. And I'm just looking, I'm like, dude, seriously, why is the entertainment industry doing Malik Yoba this way? He's a much better actor than the crap that he's given, Oh, boy. Everyone's praising Tiffany Haddish for her role in this, and Tiffany Haddish is very funny, but she's also really unlikable in this. She is the quintessential, chick from the hood that basically is one of the few that gets out and is very, very shallow, hypocritical, which is typical, actually, if you really think about it. Hey, look at these shows like freaking Black Inked and I Love It Hip Hop. Good God, those shows are freaking terrible. So Tiffany Haddish plays that role, and people give her props for this, but note, I might sound prejudiced or probably racist or anything. I don't care, but it's not a stretch, It's really not a stretch. And if I remember his name correctly, Ryan Gauld is playing Tiffany Haddish's husband in this. And yeah, the characters are very hollow. The things that are supposed to be jokes are lame. Alright, I'll just sum it up, guys. This pilot had no effect. I'm not intrigued by this show at all. I really don't recommend this. If you're a diehard Tracy Morgan fan, you're going to like this. But yeah, this has no effect on me whatsoever. Have you guys seen The Last OG? Are you interested in it? What are your takes? And do you know what an OG is? Please drop your comments below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe, ring that bell so you know when a new video loads, and spread this video out. And especially follow me on social media if you do respond to knowing what OG or OG is, because I will answer that on social media. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and I'll catch all of you later.